The story begins with a man who dies in an accident. After his death, he is given the opportunity to be reincarnated into another world by a beautiful goddess named Melfina. In exchange for receiving various rare skills and special abilities, he chooses to sacrifice all memories of his previous life. As a result, when he awakens in the new world, he can no longer remember who he once was. The man is then reborn as Kelvin. Upon checking his status, he discovers that he possesses several unique abilities that he selected before reincarnating. One of them is the extremely rare class known as a summoner, a profession capable of forming contracts with monsters. In addition, he can communicate with Melfina through a voice that constantly echoes in his mind, thanks to a special contract they made before his reincarnation. Melfina explains that summoners are incredibly rare in this world. Because of that, she advises Kelvin to keep his true abilities a secret to avoid attracting the attention of nobles and kingdoms. After understanding his situation, Kelvin decides to travel to the nearest town and register as an adventurer at the Adventurers Guild. At the guild, Kelvin successfully registers as a beginner-ranked adventurer. He learns about the adventurer ranking system and accepts his first quest, hunting 3 blue slimes. He chooses this simple mission as an opportunity to test his summoner abilities for the very first time. After entering the forest, Kelvin encounters a blue slime and uses his appraisal eye skill to inspect the monster's status. He is surprised to discover how powerful the skill is, as it provides detailed information about its target. With Melfina's guidance, Kelvin learns that in order to make a monster his subordinate, he must first weaken it before offering a contract. His efforts pay off. The contract is successfully formed, and the blue slime officially becomes the first monster under his command. Kelvin names the slime Crotto. From that moment on, Crotto becomes both his partner and his first friend in this new world. With his first summon by his side, Kelvin begins completing guild quests. Together, he and Crotto hunt more blue slimes. Thanks to the summoner contract, which greatly boosts a monster's abilities, Crotto becomes far stronger than an ordinary slime. As a result, they complete the quest with ease and earn Kelvin's first reward as an adventurer. On the way back to town, Kelvin witnesses the slave trade and realizes that this world is not as ideal as he had imagined. Even so, he chooses not to get involved for the time being, knowing that he is still too weak and too poor to make a difference. That night, Kelvin stays at an inn recommended by the guild. There, he meets the innkeeper, Claire, and enjoys his first proper meal in the new world. While relaxing, he chats with Melfina, who expresses her hope that one day Kelvin will become strong enough to summon her physical form into the human world. The episode ends with Kelvin reflecting on the beginning of his new life. He now has a goddess who constantly watches over him through her voice, a loyal blue slime named Crotto as his first companion, and a dream of becoming the strongest adventurer in the world. Filled with excitement and determination, Kelvin prepares himself for the many friends, enemies, and adventures that await him in this fantasy world. After successfully completing a dangerous mission, Kelvin receives congratulations from the guild staff. However, his rapid success begins to attract attention. A veteran adventurer named Cashel is especially surprised that a newcomer could complete a mission that is normally reserved for high-ranking adventurers. Even so, Kelvin continues to act modestly and keeps his true strength hidden. When it is time to accept a D-rank quest, he chooses a mission involving the subjugation of a legendary monster known as the Spirit Knight, often referred to as the Spirit Knight of the Fallen Nation. The quest is infamous for being extremely dangerous, even for experienced adventurers. Before setting out, Kelvin meets Cashel again. As a B-rank adventurer, Cashel has become interested in Kelvin's abilities and invites him to join his party for the same mission. However, Kelvin declines the offer, preferring to work alone and pursue his own objectives. Curious about Kelvin's capabilities, Cashel proposes a friendly competition. Whoever reaches the target first and defeats the monster will be declared the winner. Kelvin accepts the challenge, and both parties head toward the mission site. During the journey, Cashel's group gradually realizes that Kelvin is hiding something. Although he appears to be an ordinary adventurer, several signs suggest that his true power far exceeds his official rank. Even Cashel's analytical abilities are unable to fully read Kelvin's status. When some members of the party attempt to test Kelvin's strength, they end up getting caught in his magic and tactics instead. Kelvin uses a combination of swamp magic and concealment techniques to control the situation without drawing too much attention to himself. At the same time, his summoned monster, Clotho, undergoes a major evolution and transforms into the legendary slime Clotho, a being rumored to possess potential comparable to that of a demon lord. Witnessing this transformation leaves Cashel's group in shock. They begin to realize that Kelvin is far from an ordinary adventurer and is deliberately concealing his true abilities. Not long afterward, Kelvin finally encounters the target of the mission, the Spirit Knight. Contrary to everyone's expectations, the monster is not a mindless beast. The Spirit Knight possesses intelligence, self-awareness, and the ability to speak. As a summoner, Kelvin immediately becomes interested. Instead of attacking right away, he attempts to offer the Spirit Knight a contract. Through their conversation, it is revealed that the Spirit Knight was once a human knight from the Kingdom of Alker, a nation that was destroyed centuries ago during an invasion by the Doramus Empire and the Elves. The knight shares his tragic past. His kingdom was annihilated, his people were slaughtered, and his family was wiped out before his eyes. After his death, his hatred and regret transformed him into a monster destined to guard the ruins of his homeland for centuries. After hearing the story, Kelvin begins to understand the knight's pain. However, before the Spirit Knight can accept him as a new master, Kelvin must first prove his worth through battle. A fierce fight soon breaks out. The Spirit Knight displays incredible combat skills, moving so quickly that even Cashel's party cannot keep up with him. Nevertheless, Kelvin manages to counter every attack using a combination of powerful magic, summoner abilities, and Clotho's support. The battle continues intensely until Kelvin finally demonstrates his strength beyond any doubt. Acknowledging Kelvin's power and character, the Spirit Knight agrees to form a contract with him. As a result, the mission that was supposedly classified as D rank is revealed to be far more dangerous than the guild originally estimated. For successfully subjugating the Spirit Knight, Kelvin receives a special promotion and is personally rewarded by the guild. Meanwhile, the adventurers who once underestimated him have no choice but to acknowledge his extraordinary abilities. Yet despite the growing fame surrounding his achievements, Kelvin continues to hide his true power while pressing forward on his journey through a world filled with challenges, mysteries, and new adventures. After successfully defeating Gerard, the strongest Spirit Knight of the fallen nation of Rizia, Kelvin becomes increasingly well known as a talented adventurer. His victory earns him a promotion to B-rank adventurer. Meanwhile, Gerard, having lost both his homeland and his family long ago, chooses to accept reality and vows to live neutrally under the new era rather than cling to the grudges of the past. Some time later, Kelvin is summoned by the guild master and the town's mayor. There, he meets a powerful and influential man named Gustav, who possesses a rare skill known as permanent appraisal eye, an ability that allows him to see a person's status and identity at a glance. Using this skill, Gustav immediately realizes that Kelvin is a summoner from another world. At first, Kelvin is shocked that his secret has been exposed. However, Gustav has no intention of becoming his enemy. Instead, he reveals that he is already aware of many hidden events taking place behind the scenes, including the actions of corrupt nobles who had previously attempted to manipulate and frame Kelvin. Since it is difficult to act without solid evidence, Gustav asks Kelvin to cooperate with him in the future whenever necessary. During their conversation, Gustav also reveals an even greater secret. According to a prophecy from the Doramus kingdom, the resurrection of the demon lord is drawing near. In preparation for this threat, a hero from another world has already been summoned. The increasing monster activity across various regions is believed to be an early sign of the demon lord's impending return. Gustav offers Kelvin a partnership. In exchange for occasional cooperation, Kelvin will be granted complete freedom to travel, explore, and choose missions as he pleases. Realizing that the offer is beneficial and does not place excessive restrictions on him, Kelvin agrees to the arrangement. After finishing his business with the guild, Kelvin returns to Claire's inn. Claire quickly learns that he has been promoted to B rank and decides to celebrate by preparing a special feast. However, before the celebration begins, Kelvin has another plan in mind. Remembering how difficult his battle against Gerard had been, Kelvin realizes that he is still not strong enough to face even greater threats in the future. To strengthen his party, he decides to visit the slave market in search of a new companion. At the slave market, Kelvin notices a young half-elf girl who immediately catches his attention. She has suffered since birth, having been sold into slavery as a baby and growing up without ever knowing her parents. Even worse, she is afflicted by a terrible curse that causes anything she touches to burst into flames. Because of this curse, nobody wants to buy her. Despite that, Kelvin becomes interested in the girl. After consulting Melfina, he learns that the curse can actually be removed through high-level holy magic. Without hesitation, he purchases the half-elf girl for a considerable price. The girl is stunned that someone has finally bought her not for exploitation, but to save her. After hearing about her tragic past, Kelvin promises that she will never have to experience that kind of loneliness and suffering again. Kelvin then uses his newly acquired abilities to remove the curse that has tormented her for her entire life. For the first time ever, the curse completely disappears. Overwhelmed with emotion, the half-elf girl breaks down in tears and pledges her loyalty to Kelvin. She introduces herself as Ethel and gladly accepts Kelvin's invitation to join his party as both a companion and a member of his new family. Kelvin brings Ethel back to the inn, where Claire warmly welcomes her and even helps choose new clothes for her. After getting cleaned up and dressed properly, Ethel's hidden beauty finally becomes apparent. Even Kelvin is momentarily stunned by her dramatic transformation. That evening, they share a warm and joyful meal together. After spending her entire life in misery, Ethel finally experiences what it feels like to have a home and a family. Before the day ends, Kelvin begins allocating skill points to Ethel so she can grow stronger and develop more quickly as an adventurer. However, an unexpected problem soon arises. The inn has run out of vacant rooms, leaving only a single bedroom available. As a result, Kelvin and Ethel find themselves in an extremely awkward situation, while Kelvin struggles to fall asleep as various thoughts race through his mind. After completing numerous quests alongside Ethel, Kelvin continues to raise his level and strengthen his abilities. He uses his skill points to learn various new skills, including tailoring, which allows him to craft high-quality equipment. Meanwhile, Ethel also grows stronger and develops her own combat techniques through constant training. Having successfully completed 9 subjugation quests in a row, Kelvin and Ethel earn recognition from the Adventurers Guild. They are even given the opportunity to take a promotion exam for a higher rank. Although Ethel had only recently reached B rank, she demonstrates extraordinary skill during the simulation test, defeating a veteran examiner in just a matter of seconds. After an exhausting period of training, Angers invites Ethel to visit a newly opened candy shop in town. Ethel happily accepts and then invites Kelvin to join them. At first, Kelvin does not think much of it, but he gradually realizes that the outing feels very much like a date. The following day, Kelvin meets Angers, who looks beautiful in her casual clothes. Not long afterward, Ethel arrives, looking even more stunning. Her healthy appearance and natural beauty leave Kelvin momentarily speechless. The three of them spend the day walking around town together and enjoying various sweet treats. However, the pleasant atmosphere is interrupted when they encounter Tamura, the third prince of a militaristic nation known for his arrogance. The prince looks down on commoners and even attempts to claim Ethel, an elf, as his personal possession. His attitude immediately angers Kelvin. Releasing an overwhelming pressure from his immense power, Kelvin renders the prince's guards unable to move and forces Tamura to back down. Surprisingly, rather than becoming hostile, Tamura develops an interest in Kelvin. He reveals that he came to town after hearing rumors about a powerful adventurer who had recently risen through the Adventurers Guild. Despite his unpleasant personality, Tamura openly acknowledges Kelvin's abilities and even expresses an interest in recruiting him in the future. That evening, after returning to the inn, Ethel speaks honestly about her feelings. She tells Kelvin that he is the first person to show her warmth and kindness after years of suffering under slavery and the curse that had tormented her entire life. Ethel confesses that she no longer sees him merely as her master. She has fallen in love with him as a man. Hearing her confession, Kelvin finally realizes how important Ethel has become to him. He admits that she is an incredibly attractive young woman and acknowledges the special place she holds in his heart. As a result, their relationship grows even closer. The next day, Melfina appears before Kelvin once again. The goddess tells him more about the heroes who were summoned to this world to face the coming resurrection of the demon lord. However, according to her assessment, the heroes have not progressed as quickly as expected. In contrast, Kelvin's growth has been far more rapid than anyone anticipated. Soon afterward, the Adventurers Guild issues a new mission concerning the appearance of a demon. Together with Gerard, Ethel, and his companions, Kelvin heads toward the location believed to be the monster's hideout. While exploring the area, they notice something strange. There are no monsters and no signs of life anywhere nearby. Using his detection abilities, Kelvin senses two presences inside a hidden chamber. One belongs to a relatively weak demon, while the other possesses an aura that is far more dangerous. When they enter the room, they encounter an archdemon named Cuter. Contrary to their expectations, Cuter does not attack immediately. Instead, he calmly welcomes them and introduces a young girl who turns out to be the secret daughter of the demon lord, Gustav. Cuter explains that he has been protecting the demon lord's daughter and hiding her from the enemies who sought to eliminate her father's bloodline. He admits that he intentionally lured Kelvin there because he needed a human strong enough to help break the seal that was binding them. However, the truth gradually comes to light. Cuter has an entirely different agenda. Through his unique ability, he can absorb the power of any creature he consumes. His true goal is to devour the demon lord's daughter, obtain her immense power, and become the new demon lord himself. After hearing Cuter's explanation, Kelvin shows no fear whatsoever. Instead, he appears excited. Cuter quickly realizes that Kelvin shares a trait similar to his own: a love of battle. Faced with an overwhelmingly powerful opponent, Kelvin does not feel intimidated. In fact, the challenge only makes him more eager to fight. An intense battle between Kelvin and a powerful undead knight named Gerard, the loyal guardian of the demon lord's daughter, Sarah. Having lived for hundreds of years, Gerard is thrilled to finally face an opponent capable of matching his strength. He even admits that he has never encountered anyone as powerful as Kelvin before. Gerard summons an army of undead soldiers and various monsters to attack. However, Kelvin and his companions easily defeat the waves of enemies. The battle soon turns into a one-on-one duel between Kelvin and Gerard. Both fighters unleash advanced sword techniques, powerful magic, and high-level combat skills. Although Gerard possesses centuries of battle experience, Kelvin manages to keep up with him and gradually gains the upper hand through a clever combination of magic and strategy. As the fight continues, it becomes clear that Gerard is genuinely enjoying the battle. He is a true battle fanatic who has spent years searching for a worthy opponent. Kelvin, meanwhile, refuses to back down and continues to demonstrate his growing strength. After a long and exhausting clash that pushes both warriors to their limits, Kelvin finally emerges victorious. After his defeat, Gerard reveals the truth he has been hiding all this time. He was never an enemy who intended to harm Sarah. Instead, he had been carrying out the final order of Gustav, the former demon lord, who entrusted him with protecting his daughter for centuries. During the Great War between humans and demons, Gustav hid Sarah away to keep her safe. He sealed her powers and entrusted Gerard with guarding her until the world became a more peaceful place. After returning to the city, Kelvin reports the successful completion of the demon subjugation mission to the Adventurers Guild. Meanwhile, Sarah's true identity as the demon lord's daughter remains a closely guarded secret, thanks to the disguise and concealment skills possessed by Kelvin's group. That evening, they hold a small celebration to mark the success of the mission. Although Sarah initially feels awkward being surrounded by so many people, she gradually begins to enjoy the warm atmosphere and the company of her new friends. At the end of the episode, Sarah talks with Kelvin about all the places she wants to visit in the future. She dreams of seeing the ocean, mountains, great cities, and even distant continents. After spending centuries trapped in isolation, she is finally free to explore the world. Filled with hope and excitement, Sarah resolves to make the most of her new life, while Kelvin promises to accompany and protect her throughout the journey ahead.